Story 1. I got permanently banned because my post caused a fight in the comments. No one explained why I was banned, and the others who were fighting were not. Story 2. TrueRateMe is a popular platform. They have an objective scoring guide and will ban people for overrating. The most beautiful woman you have ever seen might get rated a 6.5, and then that user would be banned for overrating. Story 3. 33%. What is the sexiest experience you have ever had? 33%. What type of people do you dislike the most? 33%. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump changing his socks? Story 4. Am I overreacting that my husband killed my cat, then cheated on me with my sister, and then killed my sister with my dead cat? That subreddit is nothing but artificial intelligence fake karma posting. Story 5. Many fitness communities I used to join have become validation platforms and borderline softcore pornography. Story 6. Am I the asshole or am I overreacting? Every single post is fake. There is literally not a real post in either subreddit. Story 7. You have never in your life come across a more high and mighty group of people than the folks on the aquarium subreddit. I dare you to go there and ask an innocent beginner question. Story 8. A little niche, but any professional wrestling subreddit is just a bunch of people complaining about the product and acting like they are smarter than everyone else. They predict everything because they read the dirt sheets and leaks and say how predictable the stories are. It is the worst. Story 9. The confessions forum is unremarkable. Most confessions are trivial, and some even contain subtle bragging. Story 10. There is a subreddit for people trying to get sober where members are regularly banned by the moderator without reason because she is a control enthusiast. I am sure that many people have relapsed due to how that subreddit is managed. Story 11. I'm convinced that 99% of posters are 12-year-old boys with an unhealthy obsession with flatulence, fecal matter, and all things related to the buttocks. I don't mind legitimate health-related questions, which is how I ended up there. I am talking about nonsensical hypotheticals like, what would happen if I shoved a microwave chimichanga up my butt? I don't know. Why don't you try it and get back to us? Story 12. Any dedicated media property subscription, including books, series, or films, announced just after a reboot, sequel, or adaptation. Story 13. Ask Reddit because it has just been the same questions over and over again, but reworded differently. It is getting ridiculous. Obviously, this question is not what I am referring to. Story 14. The subreddit Peter explains the joke is full of people who post obvious jokes as engagement bait. I see a few that are legitimate, but many of them are just obvious engagement bait. Story 15. The definition of Reddit users. They speak in enthusiastic internet slang, and the moderators are unsociable individuals who ban you if your meme is not considered funny enough. Ask me how I know. Thank God they banned me in 2019. Story 16. The main fanfiction subreddits are AO3 and fanfiction. AO3 feels like a mean girl clique where random authors and commentators get screenshotted and made fun of for the most basic things, despite the subreddit trying to appear supportive. Fanfiction is a bit more tolerable, but it feels like there is a lot of forced positivity and an obsession with numbers and popularity. Story 17. r/public freakout turned into a politics subreddit. No, a random Republican politician holding a speech is not a public freakout. Story 18. FOMOA is a large source of self-righteous and disingenuous fake feminist content. It is similar to BuzzFeed but with delusions of grandeur. Story 19. r/Tupac. I am old and I listen to Tupac in real time. It seems like mostly kids on the subreddit. I equate it to if I argued with my dad about Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones, or Led Zeppelin when I was a kid. Story 20. You are obligated by the moderators to award a delta to the bot that answered your post with a response that is technically correct but misleading. Story 21. Any subreddit that is specifically for hating on a specific show, game, or similar content should be avoided. Just say you do not like it and move on. Story 22. Oh, easy. Science forum. Profoundly unscientific. Just a bunch of I love science types who frantically press the upvote button on every poor, non-replicable psychological post study that seems to confirm their pre-existing biases, and always in one particular ideological direction. Any study that might challenge those prior beliefs is immediately buried with downvotes. Story 23. Being someone who is indifferent to pets or does not generally love them is fine, but some of the people there genuinely hate animals and wish harm upon them. Some of the content there is really disturbing. Story 24. Anyone who, instead of staying on topic, has turned into a karma farming troublemaker complaining about politics. Story 25. The subreddit Pictures was criticizing the Republican Party for a long time. I stopped visiting because it consisted of candid shots followed by large amounts of hostility. It was an incredibly misguided focus for a subreddit about cool photos. Story 26. Depression. Joined for discussion about managing depression. What I saw was a front page full of people giving up on life. My mild depression has gotten worse. Story 27. The politics forum is full of people who do not understand basic civics and bureaucracy. It resembles early 2010s Tumblr in that subreddit these days. Pure mindless outrage and cynicism. Story 28. They do not like tipping culture, but every story is about how proud they are to withhold tips from employees instead of simply avoiding eating at establishments where waitstaff depend on tips to pay bills. Story 29. Hate to say it, love the animal, have one of my own. But lately, all I see are posts about a clearly very sick cat, and the original poster is asking, do I take them to a veterinarian? Story 30. On r/pics, it's all politics. Many of the top posts break the subreddit's own rules, but they are all about politics, so it seems to be fine. As of me writing this, 21 out of 25 top posts this month are about politics or war. If you take out the war, it's 19 out of 25. Story 31. Moderators are unfriendly, and most of the opinions there are not actually unpopular. Story 32. r/2 hot takes, ma'am. This is not 2 hot takes. Your husband is cheating on you. r/accidental renaissance. It is a picture of drunk teens on a couch. Story 33. The group does not allow anyone except approved or verified users to post. It is a restrictive echo chamber where even the most trusted members are not allowed to disagree without being labeled as traitors to the cause. I will give you one guess. Story 34. Ask Historians. You see an interesting question with about 12 comments, so you click on it and there is nothing. Story 35. True unpopular opinion. 99% of all opinions come from men over 30 who complain that the majority of society is disgusted when they brag about being with 18-year-old girls because they are already fully grown. Oh yes, and of course, the opinion is always accompanied by insults directed at critical women and feminists. It is so pathetic. After complaining about the recent increase of these posts, I was banned. Story 36. I joined many online groups about cats, but the largest ones are filled with posts about deceased cats and cats nearing the end of their lives. I understand and am still coping with the loss of my childhood cats, but the frequency is overwhelming. Even though there are tags dedicated to these topics, no one uses them. I left several groups for my own well-being. Story 37. The r/world news community has been taken over by moderators from Israel. Half of the news comes from Israeli sources, and they ban users who criticize Israel. Story 38. I got banned from the Last of Us HBO series subreddit a couple of months ago without any explanation. Every time I politely messaged the moderators to ask why they had banned me, they just muted me. Finally, I used a different account to ask them and then got banned for circumventing the ban. I appealed, stating that the moderators banned people without giving any explanation, but my appeal was denied. So, I am very frustrated with the moderators for abusing their power. Story 39. The moderator of the Teachers Forum is a hardcore ideologue who permanently banned me without any warning, simply for politely asking for the source of a claim. Do not dare to question that person's sacred beliefs. Story 40. On the subreddit for art, all the posts that reach the front page are of a nude, thin, young woman. It is clearly sexualized, and that unoriginal content is what gets upvoted frequently. I rarely see art on that subreddit reach the front page unless it features nudity of a young, thin woman. Story 41. I use Reddit primarily to visit small communities rather than popular subreddits. Story 42. The Mercury community is seriously more toxic and whiny than any other fandom I have ever been in. Story 43. Romance books has excessive gatekeeping. For a subreddit that says, no kink shaming, they often criticize anyone who doesn't swoon over the latest book talk girl. Story 44. For some reason, I cannot really read for too long in the Stoicism subreddit. I think this may just be a change in my mindset, but it seems like people try to use big words and sound overly smart and collected. What they end up doing is describing everything except the main point many times. I just do not get it, I guess. You can be well put together without sounding like the blandest Jedi Master out there. Story 45. The subreddit Cringetopia was very popular in 2020 and 2021 due to TikTok and many people exploring their identities. It was full of hate towards non-binary, gender non-conforming, and gay people at that time, even with not safe for work content turned off. I shudder to think what it was like with that content enabled. I was banned because of the multi-post glitch affecting mobile devices back then, and I am somewhat happy about it. Story 46. It is just 90% terrible American politics nowadays. And God forbid if you try to take a neutral approach there. Story 47. No one there wants to end tipping. They just want to post about how proud they are of themselves for not tipping their delivery driver. Story 48. The person explains the joke and similar substitutes that have gained a massive amount of popularity in the last 6 months. It is clearly karma farming where the poster shares a joke a 6-year-old would understand. Story 49. Every time I have posted on the advice forum, I have only received people calling me names and being mean for no reason without reading the post, or men sending me direct messages to ask for inappropriate photos. Story 50. As others have said, r/pics r/politics. As a Canadian, just about any provincial subreddit, for example, r/Alberta, r/Ontario, has only one accepted viewpoint, which is far left. I understand that Reddit is a left-wing hive mind, but at least pretend to accept discourse. Weirdly, r/Canada is more accepting of conservatives, even though it is still left-leaning. Edit. How could I forget the absolute worst offender, r/facepalm? Nothing posted there is ever a facepalm. It is just leftists complaining about things. Conservative politician does vaguely conservative thing facepalm will yield 250,000 upvotes. Story 51. The subreddit r/Foamox has a level of brain rot in some of their comment sections that is second to none. It offers great entertainment value by showcasing a high concentration of some of the most vapid, thin-thinking, pearl-clutching, mean girl, seriously dumb takes I have seen. Annoying, but also entertaining. Story 52. Okay. Niche 1. Broad Warhammer-themed subreddits have large populations and therefore raise their post standards, have moderation, and enough upvotes to filter out low-effort content. However, subreddits for individual factions across several games, which attract different types of personalities and motivations for playing, are all suffering the same low-effort degradation over the same time period. In 2012, it was pictures of painted armies on tables playing games. In 2015, it was pictures of painted armies. In 2018, it was pictures of different painted models. In 2020, it was pictures of assembled models. In 2023, it was pictures of boxes of purchased models. In 2025, there has been an acceleration, with pictures of receipts for models that have been purchased and screenshots of baskets in online stores for purchases not yet made. The complete devolution of every single faction subreddit from high-effort passion projects to proof-of-purchase images should be studied. There must be a greater meaning derived from the fact that all these communities, full of different types of players, are devolving at the same rate and in the same way, while the larger main game subreddits are not. There appears to be a direct correlation between the niche nature of the community and the importance of signaling membership over any kind of meaningful effort post. Story 53. To me, it is the teenagers community and the teenagers but better community. I do not mean they are bad. I am a teenager and I have difficulties understanding my peers. They just annoy me and make me feel left out. Story 54. On the Ask Men forum, I was banned for asking questions about topics that were not related to relationships or advice for young men. Story 55. I am banned from the Pretty Little Liars subreddit for good because I suggested that two characters should switch roles to be more comfortable. You cannot say anything good or bad, but spoilers are allowed. Story 56. I can empathize with people who feel bad about the way they look, but that subreddit is gradually being overtaken by men who hate women and want to blame their problems on everyone but themselves. It is a typical example of an echo chamber, which is sad to see. Story 57. Honestly, I may get downvoted, and I know I am biased, but I think the subreddit child-free is the worst. I should not look at it given that I have kids, but it is infuriating to me. Story 58. Literally anything mainstream has become political, with people trying to outmoral each other. Subreddits that are not political but end up being political anyway, like Gaming Circle Jerk, are also absolutely insufferable. Story 59. I've always found the Harry Potter subreddit banning any discussion of the morality of giving money to that intellectual property under the guise of no modern politics quite gross. It's like if the World Wrestling Entertainment subreddit banned discussion of Vince McMahon, or the Ender's Game community not discussing how unpleasant the author is. I appreciate that a lot of discussions would be derailed by people saying Joe and Kathleen Rowling is using your profits to harm people's lives. But refusing any discourse on that subject just seems cowardly. Story 60. R/Star Wars is sometimes the most annoying. Questions like, is there a lore reason for humans having hair? And so on. I get it, I like Star Wars too, but there does not need to be a lore explanation for every frame of every movie or series. Sometimes it is good to just appreciate what we have and say, ah, that is cool, and not create a detailed Wikipedia page for the trash can in the background of some shot from 1980. Story 61. Photography submissions. Many photos are posted that range from okay to pretty good, but they include a naked woman. So of course, everyone is like, so brave, or wow, this is pure art. Story 62. I do not know if it is the most annoying, but I got fed up with fake disorder cringe. It is the definition of, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If someone is put there who is not a faker, your comment gets deleted for white knighting, if you actually point it out. Story 63. The random fan content you get when you search for something about another game. I was playing Expedition 33 and searched for something about it. Suddenly, my Reddit was filled with posts from a subreddit about the game date everything. The entire subreddit consists of people making tier lists of hundreds of characters or posting pictures of themselves asking who they should cosplay. I have been overwhelmed with it. Story 64. Am I the idiot because the posts are very long, very boring, and very self-involved? Story 65. The Beatles and Radiohead communities can both be pretty insufferable and pretentious. I wonder if it's because they are both bands that are so critically successful. Personally speaking, though, it has to be the pop music community. I love a lot of lesser-known and more mainstream pop music, but I have many issues with it. 1. It has basically become a place for obsessively devoted fans. 2. The moderators are incredibly strict. 3. Endless echo chamber posts from some of the most irritating music critics out there, such as Anthony Fantano and Tom Brahan. 4. Pitchfork review posts that are essentially pointless and full of jokes about the artist Halsey. 5. Constant comments that joke in a very stereotypical manner related to social media culture. I understand that the majority of their audience is queer, myself included, but all the jokes feel unnecessary. This is a music community. I am sure the indie music community is far worse, but I have not been there enough to judge. Story 66. Definitely r/explain the joke, and r/Peter explains the joke. The completely obvious misses of a joke that feel like a pure form of rage bait are so annoying, but I stay there for the memes that are good most of the time. Story 67. The dog advice forum mainly consists of people showing severe wounds or bloated, suffering dogs in need of urgent medical attention and asking for advice, such as whether they should take their dog to the veterinarian because the dog has been bleeding for 3 days. Story 68. The atheism subreddit contains a lot of anti-religious bigotry. There are few posts solely dedicated to atheism or secularism recently. Many posts insult religion using terms like magic man, sky daddy, and fairy tales. They claim religious people have lower intelligence, suggest banning religion entirely, label Christianity as the biggest threat to American society, and spread malicious lies about Christians and other Abrahamic religions. This subreddit is dominated by angry atheists and does not reflect the behavior of most atheists. The child-free subreddit is not just for people who choose not to have children. It often insults parents, expresses hatred toward babies, and uses derogatory terms for children. Posts shame poor people for having children, discourage family formation, and describe children as nuisances. Due to this irrational hatred, I avoid the subreddit. When reading such posts, I think, everyone was once a child who acted annoyingly at times. Nobody starts out perfectly mature. The controversial opinions subreddit contains openly racist, anti-black posts that portray black people negatively. This is disturbing, as 15.2% of the population is targeted based on skin color. I avoid this community because it seeks validation for hatred rather than meaningful conversation. The true unpopular opinion subreddit shares these problems, being full of racist, sexist, and hateful opinions. Subreddits dedicated to unpopular opinions often host such harmful content. Right-wing political subreddits like conservative, Republican, and LipsoFreddit are also filled with offensive content. It is not possible to identify a single most annoying subreddit because there are many with problematic content. Story 69. If you state an actual unpopular opinion, you are downvoted into oblivion. Quite ironic, really. Story 70. To me, it's r/Madamesmile. Most of it is just sad, miserable stuff. I remember someone posting the video of George Bush getting shoes thrown at him once by a journalist with the caption, "Look how happy he is dodging those shoes. Yeah, real fun. Makes me smile, that war criminal." Story 71. I do not often see posts from most of the discussion groups mentioned, so I will suggest the subreddits r/World News or r/News. Both are highly political and frequently share news stories from websites with biased headlines or content. They also ban users who go against the prevailing opinions. Story 72. The subreddit of The Last of Us TV show cannot seem to get over Bella Ramsey, and at this point it is just bullying a 19-year-old for the pettiest reasons. It is the only subreddit I have ever blocked. Story 73. This one, like many others, has moderators who believe they are the Federal Bureau of Investigation or Central Intelligence Agency. They restrict free speech because it offends them personally, but not the wider audience. Story 74. And not because I am against witches or any type of sexual identity, or in favor of the patriarchy. It is nothing other than that such subreddit is the most annoying subreddit on Reddit. Go on, join it and see. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.